Hi, everyone, and welcome back to A Dad Reads. I'm sorry I have skipped some because I had something to deal with in my life. My adoptive mother passed away on Thursday the 14th. So, if any of you have had to deal with that, I am sorry. You definitely have my understanding and condolences. Well, to start again, here is chapter 4 of The Gunslinger by Stephen King. The beans were like bullets, the corn tough. Outside, the prevailing winds snuffled and whined around the ground level leaves. The gunslinger ate quickly, ravenously, drinking 4 cups of water with the meal. Halfway through, there was a machine gun rapping at the door. Brown got up and let Zoltan in. The bird flew across the room and hunched moodily in the corner. Musical fruit, he muttered. You ever think about eating him? The gunslinger asked. The dweller laughed. Animals that can talk be tough, he said. Birds, billy bumblers, human beings. They be tough eatin'. After dinner, the gunslinger offered his tobacco. The dweller, Brown, accepted eagerly. Now, the gunslinger thought, now the questions will come. But Brown asked no questions. He smoked tobacco that had been grown in Garland years before and looked at the dying embers of the fire. It was already noticeably cooler in the hovel. Lead us not into temptation, Zoltan said suddenly, apocalyptically. The gunslinger started as if he had been shot at. He was suddenly sure all this was an illusion, that the man in black had spun a spell and was trying to tell him something in a maddeningly obtuse, symbolic way. Do you know Tull? He asked suddenly. Brown nodded. Came through it to get here. Went back once to sell corn and drink a glass of whiskey. It rained that year. Lasted maybe 15 minutes. The ground just seemed to open and suck it up. An hour later, it was just as white and dry as ever. But the corn, God, the corn, you could see it grow. That wasn't so bad. But you could hear it, as if the rain had given it a mouth. It wasn't a happy sound. It seemed to be sighing and groaning its way out of the earth. He paused. I had extra, so I took it and sold it. Papa Doc said he'd do it, but he would have cheated me, so I went. You don't like town? No. I almost got killed there, the gunslinger said. Do you say so? Set my watch and warrant on it, and I killed a man that was touched by God, the gunslinger said. Only it wasn't God. It was the man with the rabbit up his sleeve, the man in black. He laid you a trap. You say true, I say thank you. They looked at each other across the shadows, the moment taking on overtones of finality. Now the questions will come. But Brown still had no questions to ask. His cigarette was down to a smoldering roach, but when the gunslinger tapped his poke, Brown shook his head. Zoltan shifted restlessly, seemed about to speak, subsided. Will I tell you about it? The gunslinger asked. Ordinarily, I'm not much of a talker, but sometimes talking helps. I'll listen. The gunslinger searched for words to begin and found none. I have to pass water, he said. Pass it in the corn, please. Sure. He went up the stairs and out into the dark. The stars glittered overhead. The wind pulsed. His urine arced out over the powdery cornfield in a wavering stream. The man in black had drawn him there. It wasn't beyond possibility that Brown was the man in black. He might be. The gunslinger shut these useless and upsetting thoughts away. The only contingency he had not learned how to bear was the possibility of his own madness. He went back inside. Have you decided if I'm an enchantment yet? Brown asked, amused. The gunslinger paused on the tiny landing, startled. Then he came down slowly and sat. The thought crossed my mind. Are you? If I am, I don't know it. This wasn't a terribly helpful answer, but the gunslinger decided to let it pass. I started to tell you about Tull. Is it growing? It's dead, the gunslinger said. I killed it. He thought of adding, and now I'm going to kill you, if for no other reason than I don't want to have to sleep with one eye open. But had he come to such behavior? If so, why bother to go on at all? Why, if he had become what he pursued? Brown said, I don't want nothing from you, gunslinger, except to be still here when you move on. I won't beg for my life, but that don't mean I don't want it yet a while longer. The gunslinger closed his eyes. His mind whirled. Tell me what you are, he said thickly. Just a man, one who means you no harm, and I'm still willing to listen if you're willing to talk. To this, the gunslinger made no reply. I guess you won't feel right about it unless I invite you, Brown said, and so I do. Will you tell me about Tull? The gunslinger was surprised to find that this time the words were there. He began to speak in flat bursts that slowly spread into an even, slightly toneless narrative. He found himself oddly excited. He talked deep into the night. Brown did not interrupt at all. Neither did the bird. I probably should have made up for skipping a week by adding another chapter, but not this week. Maybe next week. I'm sure any of you that have lost family can understand that. Well, tip of my coffee cup to all of you. Thank you for viewing, and I hope you all have a great week. Bye.